With Richard Massa. Our hosts and their guests are here to talk about comics, movies, random topics, and everything in between. Now, here's your hosts, Ryan and Richard.
The Oppenheimer Projects.
I mean, I was thinking to myself that if the lights turned on, like big stage lights over us, and somebody said, "Hey, this is kind of like that movie, The Truman Show," like I wouldn't be surprised anymore. Like December 31st, like that's when we lose Betty White. Like of all the, you can't make this stuff up, man.
It is, yeah. I was just Truman showing, referencing the. I had to explain the part of the Truman Show to someone yesterday, to a couple of people yesterday.
Oh, that was a classic.
Yeah, no, it's because we went to a friend's and we were sitting there having a nice watching the football game kind of thing, and my one friend is just question, like, and not rude, not anything like that, but it's just like, we're watching the football game, and she just has it like, how was your break? Did you go any, like, boom, it's like boom, boom. And so I was just like, like, I wanted to make a quick joke, like, I feel like I'm on the like the talk show equivalent of the Truman Show, where like I'm always being interviewed. But when I had to stop and explain the Truman Show premise to everyone, but absolutely classic, and absolutely a twist they would have done. Like literally, the only way they could have made it worse was waiting till 11 o'clock and been like, "Hey."
Yeah, I know you're all in a great mood. You're about to celebrate the new year. However, breaking news.
Right. You just saw Miley's top come off. She put it back on, and Betty White's gone. So,
yeah. So it's like, you ever get like to the end of the year, and you're kind of like, who did we lose this year? And you're we lost a lot of good entertainers. I feel like that's every year. You kind of like, maybe you kind of forgot about them or whatever the case. Because I was thinking before we did this episode, like, we also lost Richard Donner this year. Like,
sure, right.
It was a tough one. I mean, it always is, but it was a tough one. But so Betty White, this is where I wanted to get your opinion on this. So I guess to me, this is where I saw a different side, a comedic side of Betty White that I hadn't seen before. And we'll take a look at that right now, and in her honor as well. So here we go. It loads. Loading. Here we go.
Mike, come on! Mike, what is your deal, man?
Come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Baby!
Mike.
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better. Hey! How about that? That hurt.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
I know you know her from many things. Like you just said, I'm a little bit younger than you. But for me, that was the Betty White comeback. I wanted your opinion on this one.
Sure. I actually, I don't know the timing of when that commercial's from.
Super Bowl. Not getting any info here. Oh, Super Bowl 2011.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if she ever needed a comeback. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of her, yeah, sure. No, but I think what a better way to say it is, Oh wait. Oh hey, I'm doing the thing where I have to leave and come back.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I'm echoing.
You're echoing on your end?
Yeah.
Okay, go. You leave and come back.
I feel like it's a nice one-year tradition that this happens.
It's the first episode of the new year. We're kicking off 2022 strong.
I'll be back.
Richard will be right back. We're experiencing technical difficulties. This apparently happens every time where I start running video footage. So I'm trying to have some Betty White video footage in the background, and he'll be right back, and we'll transition. I think we're going to have to get rid of the video, but Betty White and Deadpool. You know what? When Richard gets back, we're going to tell him that I didn't see Deadpool. All right. So I just saw something and you're not going to believe this. I'm pretty sure you're not going to believe this.
Did Facebook mute us?
No, I've never seen Deadpool. I just saw Betty White in Deadpool. I haven't seen Deadpool yet, 1 or 2. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I feel
so. When you and I'm not making fun of you for like when you watch like the stepmom and you've watched a couple shows like. But yeah, now I just so you know from now on I'll just comment on when you post something like, "Hey, just checked out a random film on Netflix." I will just post watch Deadpool underneath.
Hey, what have you watched Deadpool yet?
Yeah, like, oh, but have you checked it out yet? Again, like there's a lot like, oh, you haven't watched Hawkeye yet? That's a lot of hours. But
I tried to start that yesterday, but the kids were around.
Yeah, but Deadpool is unfortunately, I was gonna say the kids really literally should be dead asleep, when Deadpool's on. You don't even want them accidentally walking in the room. It is but yeah, Deadpool's a whole topic idea. Let me write this down in my topic ideas. Topic idea: movies we haven't seen.
Movies we haven't seen that the world has seen.
Yeah, right. Like
you know what? Yeah, like movies.
I haven't seen Shawshank. And like people always tell me.
I feel like there's. I haven't seen this one comes up a lot, and then we'll get back to Betty White.
Sure, right. Thank you, Betty.
Vision Quest. I get grief for this one a lot. Not seeing Vision Quest yet.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple 80s movies. There's just like I haven't seen Gremlins. Yeah, we could just talk for 23 minutes naming the things we haven't seen. So, but Betty White, I was trying to say before I heard my own echo was she never quite went away, but then she became huge the last 12, 13 years as kind of coming on as like the 80-year-old woman who would say the outrageous thing, like,
right.
Like if you, like, yeah, she was in The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, and like all the press for that is her being mean to Ryan Reynolds. Like, so she did Hot in Cleveland, which was one, I don't know if you've ever seen that one. They took a bunch of like actresses from different TV shows. They put them together, and it was like a Nick at Night original TV show. But she kind of played like the, which is interesting because in her most popular, well-known role as Golden Girls, she played the straight person. She wasn't raunchy.
Right.
That was everyone else's job to be mean and raunchy. And so she kind of she got to do her raunchy role in her last 10 years. Again, 99, such a shame, almost to 100.
Yeah, like I think she had the cover printed, right? Like a People magazine.
Right.
Printed, like Betty White 100.
January 17th is, I'm pretty sure there was a special that was going to air. I'm sure it'll just switch it to a memoriam.
It's like a movie. They're going to run it in theaters now, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Listen, she's this, and I think the next person we talk about, almost no like I'm not saying anything negative,
Oh yeah, you always bring this up a lot, but it's a good point. It's a good point, I think.
Yeah,
like one of those actresses, you just nothing bad.
Right, but like the saying, like when certain people die, there's a thing where you're like, oh my goodness, what a great thing they had. But who can forget? Like when Robert Downey Jr. dies one time.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, right. We're probably like because he just had like a neat, he had a speed bump, but he didn't. He didn't in any way like kill anyone or go, like that kind of thing. Like, so that's the thing. There's nothing I'm seeing with Betty White where it was like, well, one time she told an actor, nope, there's no stories like that. So fingers crossed. Like,
one
listen,
time she told the caterer, you didn't bring my special or something like that. And
yeah. So no, exactly that's what it is. So, so yeah, that's neat. I think America felt like they lost their great grandmom. It was. Yeah, it was a tough little punch. Again, not a shock, not a surprise. We really haven't seen her in a couple years. I think she's, and I think she probably made the decision not to be, if you couldn't recognize her as who she was, she didn't want to be in the public eye.
I just got to say one thing before I forget.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When Monica said it to me, I was like, babe, this happens to Jackie Chan and Betty White.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you saw it. And then I was like, oh God, it's real. It's real. I got to delete my post.
Nope. I had to do a lot of research. Like, by a lot, I mean, a couple websites. Yeah, it was one of those like, oh, please be a hoax. Like, because everything on my social media for the last 4 or 5 days had been about her People magazine cover. It was all these videos of like, oh, check out Ryan Reynolds as he teases, like it was all these, It was all this Betty White content. And then when it was like Betty White passes, I'm like, that's not but
can't be.
Yeah. So another celebrity who passed away and really clicks a couple boxes on our podcast was John Madden,
Yeah.
who, for some people, he's a Hall of Fame coach. For most people, he is an announcer who a world famous announcer who broadcasts the games. And then for a huge section of people, he's Madden, the video game.
The video game.
Madden, yeah, the video game. Which is, if it's not the, like, I know that FIFA and there's other like really well selling games now, but I mean, Madden was the game, the sports game that people were in a mile long line waiting to pick up when it came out.
And never like, and every year, like annual waiting. Remember it was like a big deal. It still is a big deal. I imagine who
it still is.
On the cover of it. There's the Madden curse,
and the Madden curse, and the Madden curse still exists. And and again, like you'll hear sports radio will do it like, all right, well, let's look at their ratings. Like, can you believe they gave Carson Wentz a 79? And so, knock on wood, I just looked it up. This year's cover was Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and they're both doing really well. Normally, the cover person breaks their leg, gets hurt,
something like that,
pretty quickly. So they're doing okay. Fingers crossed. We will reference Tom Brady one more time on our podcast, but John Madden's another person who you don't hear much about. Like his big thing in the 80s and 90s was he took a bus from game to game. And like him and his wife, they lived on a huge bus converted into home. He was scared to death of flying. But if he had a game in California and had to get to Florida, it was simpler just to take the bus. So the bus was, kind of became a part of every week's game when it would show the bus rolling up to the stadium. Then he added another little check to pop culture when he introduced the turducken to the world, when he put a chicken and a duck inside of a turkey and cooked it for Thanksgiving. Because, his big thing on Thanksgiving was to give away a leg of the turkey to whoever played the best or the hardest. And so then one year he realized he needed something with more legs. So the turducken came up. Again, won Super Bowls, a really successful coach, an incredibly, incredibly popular and successful broadcaster of games. But yeah, most of the world's like, yeah, turducken and football games, the video games. So,
and for me, also for some reason, it always stands out is the Little Giants cameo.
Oh, okay, I don't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
It's have you heard of the movie Little Giants?
Of course.
Yeah. So there's a scene where they're down their luck. They're like, oh, we're not gonna beat the Cowboys. We can't do it. And then John Madden's like, hey guys, can you help us with how to get to? I forget what they were on their way to. He's like, but we're a little lost. And he's got a couple of players with him as well. But that's like the montage is that he couldn't find his way, and he's like, yeah, let's help out this Pee Wee team, and him and the players, help get the team together and rally them together. But and going back to what you said real quick about Betty White, I don't know if there's a photo of John Madden like not smiling.
Sure.
Whenever you think John Madden, you think that big Saint Nick smile. So same week, right at the end of the year, at the end of 2021, just another loss. But I would imagine that it was a very fruitful life. Definitely, I would imagine.
Yeah, and as you're so accurately putting it with the smile, like, yeah, there is no shot of them being attacked by paparazzi, where you get that, because again, he either posed for a couple pictures or, the same, him and Betty White, they had the respect of the paparazzi of the world. Yeah. Like where, when you're out harassing Kim K, it's weird that the world kind of cuts you a break, but it is interesting how, sorry, it's one of those weird things where like I am rubbing my eyes, like I make these dumb observations. One of the things Ryan and I talked about this morning, when I say talked, like a quick text message, was just like, I just wanted to kind of I didn't want to do any work or look up anything. I just want to talk about a few things. But it's amazing how our third story is going to really like be the opposite of how these two, and then had led their lives, and then and then it just brings this big chicken and egg thing. Like, was it Betty White and John Madden's? By the way, I'm sorry, and I don't want to canonize either of these people. Like John Madden, like his players and other coaches, he was like a jerk to, like he was an old school 70s, like,
he was a hard ass.
Yeah, like, hey, yeah, you fat piece of crap, get, like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He wasn't oh, hey, you did your best, like, like, oh, you're this, like, yeah, no, he was hardcore. But the guy who drove his bus around the country, and same with Betty White, like, they led themselves, they did it right. But if anyone was watching the Eagles game last night or just flipping around yesterday, you couldn't avoid that Antonio Brown had yet another, probably his most visual and public breakdown.
Visual,
easily.
That's a great way to put it. And you know what? And I threw this one in there because I was thinking to myself, it's the first Monday of 2022. COVID surging, Antonio Brown. I can't get past either of those two topics tonight. So I was like, I think we should at least bring it up.
Yeah, right.
And now he's a meme. Like, that was instant. We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But
no, wait, yeah. I mean, that's all I've seen today is when you quit your job. So this is again, you have done several episodes on who cares for our famous people, and the same friend who was interviewing me at her home yesterday sent me Tom Brady's interview afterwards. And she was like, let me know what you think. And Shanna and my other two friends that I hang out with are just, they hate Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady has people who either respect him or hate him.
100%.
And, and I'm someone who just, I like, he wins. And so I don't hate him. And so I really, so I'm watching the interview.
Can't be that bad.
Yeah, right. I'm watching the interview and I'm kind of looking for, like, okay, what was my friend going for here? Because she hates him so much. Like, and so she's like, what did you think? And I'm like, I thought he sounded really normal. And she's like, yeah, that's it. Like, because his interview was like, hey, he's going through something. Like, let's worry about his mental health. Because, and yeah, it was, we just don't have, if you clicked on our link today to listen, because Ryan clickbaited you with the latest on Antonio Brown, the latest is that, like, we still really don't know for certain what happened, other than it sounds like the coach asked him to play. He said, I'm hurt, I don't want to go in. Coach said, go in. He said no a second time, and coach said, well, then get out of here. To which he could have easily walked to the back, or he could have just sat on the bench, like, and
if you walked off, it would have been a fine, right? If he,
I honestly, I think
that,
right. I think if he walks out and goes to the back, and it becomes a discussion today of, like, he's always going to be villainized, like everyone else we talk about, Kim K, those people, like, they always have that, that, and he's villainized because he has done, he has just left teams. He has come and played for 2 weeks and then just quit the team, says he's one of, makes a lot of choices. He's had some allegations brought against him. So earlier in the year, I totally forgot about this. He was fined for lying about his vaccination status.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And it was like it was interesting, but he's, but again, if he's hurt, and that's the problem is, if you're hurt and the coach isn't doubting someone, like, it's a weird thing where it's like the people who feel the need to kind of be very defensive of other people, like, which I have been very, very guilty, and not using guilty in a bad way, guilty of doing that, just running to people's defense and be like, hey, give them the benefit of the doubt first. He makes it really tough with the way he left that game, I mean, he made a couple people happy by, because they got his, I mean, that's how cool is that? Like, this is his shirt. Like, I have his shirt. I have his glove.
The last jersey ever.
The last jersey ever wore. Right?
You have the jersey. I have the jersey. The one that he ripped off before he quit. And listen, I don't even know. I saw one of the head coaches. I think it was Dungy. Tony Dungy made a comment, something like, nobody signed him. The guy needs help first, which, you just said, Tom Brady, and maybe something is going on. I mean, something's obviously going on, but things do happen with Antonio Brown more often than we would like, for his sake and everybody else's. But if he is going through something, it should be acknowledged, right? But like you said, it's like he's acted up here and there. He's walked off teams. And if he is having a moment, it's not that we don't want to help him. It's kind of just like, dude, you make it really tough for us to be like, are you telling the truth right now? Or what's going on? Right. But if he needs help, you got to give him a hand.
Right. And this is, it comes up, and I'm sure John and Dr. Mom definitely, can speak more intelligently to this. But like Ben Simmons started his season out by refusing to come in. I don't want to play. Then he showed up after he had lost his first $1 million in fines. Then he showed up, and then he didn't want to do a certain play, and then he was done. Like, and then, and then he came out with a statement that was like, "Hey, I'm mentally, I'm freaking out. I'm mentally having mental issues with this." Right. And the people were, and again, to their credit, people were like, "Hey," again, people who were like, "Hey, go jump off a bridge" a day earlier were like, "All right, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt." Yeah. But now it's been 4 months, like, and it's kind of like, oh, well, we saw that he was out at the bowling party. We saw that he was at, Miley's New Year's party. Like which again, this is the tough thing. Like, what do the two have to do with each other? I'm not sure, but it's that kind of thing with AB where it's like, yeah, it'd be a lot easier to go with this if like your track record, and again, like I saw a lot of people on social media today saying like, hey, he's never been the same since he got hit, like 4 or 5 years ago, and he got a hit to the head, and it's like that's not something to just totally dismiss. Now, people will do that, Yeah. Right? Listen, I'm teasing you just slightly with this, but like, you were one of the jabronis this morning who was like, had to do that, which it was a very big social media thing for this today, like. Take a picture at 7:00 of their front driveway or their cars and be like, "What's this?"
Where's Roland Emmerich?
Yeah, right.
I'm sure nobody got.
No one got. Right? No one understood. People were like, "I hope Ryan's getting the help he needs." But again, yeah, I had a couple of different people on Facebook who kind of did that, and and the different weathermen or weather people were just like tons of comments by 8:00 in the morning, like. Really? What'd you call this for? And then, definitely the further south you went, the worse it was. But, I was happy we weren't in school because that drive home, and that clear, and then the parking lots would have been insane. Would have been difficult, probably could have done it, but you don't have to. I mean, that's my thing. You have snow days, not to spin it in our last 7 minutes, not to spin it to a whole new topic. But I'm someone who's in favor of you have a couple snow days, and then from here on out, like we can virtually learn, so we don't have to lose. But
the more time.
It's not a super popular opinion all the time.
I've heard,
right, because it's just like, in my mind, it's like, hey, I don't want to go to school till. By the way, I love that I'm talking about this. We've had one little snowfall, potentially another one on Friday. So I'm like, we're gonna run out of days.
And that would be we'd be like this in 2022. We have issues with the 2020 to 2021, so just you better act right, okay? We're off to a weird start here, like cutting the 2022 school year, like right there, day one. But I will say, because I did think to myself, I was like, oh god, I'm totally that guy that's like, oh wait, there's no snow. But I was like, I tried to justify it by being, at least I'm not that guy that's like, it's not going to snow. It's 80 degrees out tonight, because that was the other one. That's another. There's a lot of that. We could do a podcast on weather classifications, right? You could be that person where it's like it's too hot out, and then it's like you're going to learn today or tomorrow.
And to their credit, weather people the last few years at least have tried really hard to be like, hey, this satellite is showing me that it could be, 7 inches. At the same time, it wouldn't shock me if there was like a dusting, which again doesn't help people, but like same time, it's like, like this is the thing, like there's these models and think you can only, like you have to literally predict the weather. It's crazy. So I always cut them break. But again, but I kind of was feeling good when I went to bed last night because the weather person I was following was like, it is definitely a French toast. Like, run out the store to buy bread and eggs. It is a French toast morning tomorrow. So,
was that like a dusting?
Did you not get a phone call from your wife's work did she get it late?
That's a text message that I'm going to text you about because because I'm sure maybe you were in a group.
We
as
had to
well
say
that was
right,
like,
right. It seems
Yo,
like
what the hell, man?
Right.
It's like 5:59 and we're getting
because
a
she's
call.
right because she's on that what's it take, like 35, 40 minutes almost?
Yeah, South 30.
Right, like so
door,
she
yeah.
right, like so she might have been on the road, especially if it was a day where like, oh, I want to get in her, like, which I think today is that first day back is a day where most people have been like, I'm getting out of the house, which
I'm ready to
again,
go, yeah.
right, again, it wasn't, if the worst case today would have happened was she had to turn around, and it wasn't bad yet this morning, but it was still very, very interesting. All the different things I do when we do come back to our regular schedule, which is, I guess, whenever. I'm back. Like we were on a break. When we do come back, I do want to, as much as I can, have a segment each week called the comment section of the week.
Dude,
I
have
to
page.
Yeah, I have to stop myself at least once a day from sending you thing. I mean, like
no, don't stop to send it.
Right, because it's just like there's no reason, like, the one I made a mistake of going on the zip code page today for some reason, and it was just so depressing, because it was tons of, I can't believe we had to stay home for this weather, which, sorry, I'm like the least controversial, like, when we will get canceled at some point, because, but I'm always like, and listen, I do understand that as a parent with a job, you have to arrange for, like, I do, but at the same time, like, when you go on social media just to like crap, because I do know, as much as I don't want that pressure, but someone had to make a decision this morning, and if they had made the wrong one, I always feel like the people complaining the loudest online would have been the same people complaining, you really are expecting my 7-year-old to go to school in this mess, right? But
I don't envy anybody, because the way I see it at this point, from Monica's gonna kill me if I say dating, being married, being with Monica,
sure, right.
It is that now I envision it like the president in Armageddon or something. Like, we need the call, sir. Like, and you just, because she's always like, they'll call it in the morning, and I'm like, I don't know if that person slept or they were just like, dear God, what do I do in 4 hours?
I don't think they do. I think they have to set. I talked to the old superintendent once about it, because it's such the easy, like, small talk thing, like, hey, can't believe, that must have been a tough decision.
How do you do
that?
I
honestly, I must have had the same conversation with him 5 times. But yeah, at some point he was like, he goes, yeah, on days like this, I have to set the alarm for 4:00, like, and then at 4:00 it becomes a joint, like, all the different superintendents in the area kind of start talking, and we, and he's like, we try to make.
I'm picturing it like the
exactly,
the powers that be decision.
Right, yeah, except probably with less of the fancy huge screens where everyone's face is appearing on a screen.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's the kind of thing, and so I imagine this morning was the first day of our acting superintendent, so that was probably like, it was a nail biter. So. But that's the comment section, like, where people in the comments, they just, did I share with you the 3D printed house?
You did. That was a hell of a comment.
So that's what I'll make, was this was clear that of the 2,058 comments on the thing, 2 people opened up the article and read it.
100%.
I had Facebook did something to me the other day where I went to share an article, and I think it was just like, I forget what I was sharing about. It was yesterday with like a diner that we went to was closing.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
And I clicked share,
comments,
and Facebook went, you are sharing this without having read the article. Are you sure you want to do that?
Oh, I've seen that now.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I was like, let me read the article. And again, I think it was because there was one mention of like, the pandemic has not helped business, so they have to go, like, again, it wasn't controversial. It was just, so I thought that was funny. And they're like, okay, that's good. But 3D printing house. So this will be my comment section of the week. Habitat for Humanity. Someone made a totally, for the first time ever, 3D printed house. Everything for the house was printed using a 3D printer. So I imagine that all the people who didn't click on the article thought to themselves, oh, I've seen little 3D printers that make those cute little plastic things,
The Comic-Con
thought-
guys were like, I use it all the time for my Daredevil cane.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly what I think was happening. And so the comment section was two things. One, oh my God, that house is going to blow down on the first stiff wind. Oh my God, it's going to float away. Oh my God, I hope. And again, it's just always this funny, like cocky, like, well, I hope the people get the house realize that their house is going to like catch on fire one day. Like, it's just this like overconfidence, like everybody's a builder kind of attitude.
There goes the jobs of 100,000.
Right. There goes there goes the jobs
Okay.
of 100,000 crew. The other huge chunk of messages I saw was, "Hey, I'm a grandmom who's raising 2 kids by myself. I could use a house. Hey, I'm a father of 4. My wife is out of work. We could use a house." Now,
Right.
I'm less shitting on them, but more like, really? Like, that's what you like? This is where you thought it was going to happen? Like, it's just kind of like, okay, like that's an interesting thing. Like, that was your takeaway, like, but which again, and then some of them were even like, oh, that person doesn't deserve the house. I deserve the house. I'm like, what? Where's this? Right. Where's this coming from? Now, if you clicked on the article, you read that it wasn't your traditional 3D printer. It was something else. And the house was made out of concrete, like it was made out of real material, and again, Habitat for Humanity. Well, again, I'm sure people could tell me major things wrong with it, but for the most part, if you meet the criteria and you agree to work to pay a minimum amount for a mortgage and to work on like the house, you can have a house. Like, it's, again, I don't know why people begrudge people, but that comment section did, it goes on, and I think that's usually what it is. It's like, if it's a thing about wearing masks, I expect the comment section to have a back
Instantly.
and forth,
Yeah.
But when it's something like, oh, Betty White, his cat name was Joe, you can guarantee in that comment section there is something about, why would she have a cat instead of a dog? Like, there's something. I would say it cracks me up, but it makes me sad more than it cracks me up.
No, and one thing without starting the whole podcast again was, I actually was thinking, I was expecting that if there was a comment section for the article you posted yesterday, like not like a Richard or like a New Jersey Daily,
Right.
You got to have that one person that's like, another business loss to the pandemic. Meanwhile, me, where this is the industry I work in, I'm really paying attention to the part about the partners wanting to take the place another direction,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something more lucrative. Maybe the diner, it's reached its peak. It had a good life. We got to do something else. But I'm not really focused on the pandemic ending, because there's obviously still some capital. They have some plans in store. More to come.
Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I'm sure if I go click back on that article and read the NewJersey.com, there's somebody who's like, you don't need to make it a bar. Like, no,
Yeah.
okay. Like, and that's the thing. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, the family who owns it, who sold it, like, the woman who ran it for years, like, she passed away, like, but people will just not read the article and just be like, oh, guess they want to do a quick money grab. Like, they'll just say crap. It's, it's insane. It just really is. And I do, like, every week I really do, like, it's like, I could just talk about social media comment sections. But at the same time, I wouldn't say anything different. I would just be like, that's insane. Why is that person doing that?
No, we definitely need to do that, because I was thinking you and I had way too much fun with my post, and there's definitely some potential there.
I mean, listen, so for those of you who don't know, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. Ryan woke up, was it last one? We'll just call it last Wednesday for fun.
Yeah.
Ryan woke up last Wednesday, saw on his local zip code page, the local hardware store has take COVID tests. Buy one for this price, buy 2 for this price, buy 3 for, like, the more you buy, the more you save, So
10 a.m.
Ryan,
Be there.
Yeah. Ryan goes down to the store, finds out they're sold out. I don't know why I'm telling your story for you. Finds out they're sold out. And
It's a waiting
home
list.
and there's a wait. It's just a waiting list. Add me to the waiting list. All right. So he goes on and he says, hey, just to let you know, local hardware store, is just collecting names for a wait list. They don't have any tests on site. Don't waste your time going down. That was probably your right. Now, I'm going to guess when you said don't waste your time going down, you weren't shitting on the store. You were just
like,
trying to tell. It was a very like
know.
colloquial. It was a very like, right? Like it was a very normal way that people talk. Oh, don't waste your time going over. Like, hey, any reason I should go to Wawa? No, you don't have to waste your time. So Ryan proceeded to then get 58 or more comments on his page defending the people, attacking him for, it was it was neat to see it actually like
to happen.
I don't think you could have. Yeah, I don't think we could have made up one. Like, if I said, "Oh, let's think of something that will evoke responses," right? Right? And that's the thing. You weren't going for anything other than if anyone's seeing that post, you don't need to drive right down because,
But we did get it all. Like we got the one person ignoring the whole point of my post, defending Bob and Linda, who are probably great people.
Yeah, right.
Like, sure they are. Wasn't saying anything about them and how they helped you with toilet paper during the pandemic, and just saying that they don't have COVID tests. That's all.
Right. That's it. And then the guy who was like, "Oh, I don't care what you had to say. You spelled a word wrong. I'm going to correct your spelling." I mean, albeit it was the name of the town and all, but
wrong
again,
page.
Right. I don't think you were spelling it wrong because you're dumb. I think you were spelling it wrong because
I was on the wrong page. Apparently.
Yeah, you were just typing quickly, right? That's what you should have been like. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was supposed to be on the Oda Boone page.
Well, that's what happened. Is that I posted in Mount Ephraim, and then for a place in Audubon, and somebody was like, "Well, that's because it's in Audubon." And as you saw, I was just like, "I'm not even doing this." I was just like, "Thank you."
Right. Okay.
I get it. You got it.
It is fascinating. It is, yeah. I let me say this the right way in my stuttery voice, and again, not insulting stutterers. I would love to go viral. Like, love to go viral. Would love to have, and I'm constantly thinking, oh, what's a neat idea, But I will tell you how quickly I would be back on this podcast going, oh my God, I did a funny video where I wiped down the copier at work, and the copier printed out like dollar bills, and I called it wipe for money or whatever, and oh my God, like 800 people have watched 800,000 people have watched it, but I'd be on here going, yeah, so people are accusing me of being a communist. People are accusing me of, I used the wrong kind of wipe on the wiper.
I was about to say, people
right.
are you abused your printing privilege.
Right. Yeah. You should. Right. Yeah. Right. Again. Oh. That you can't use that money. Like. That's not real money. No one would accept. Like, it's just beyond fascinating. And what's the word? I'm fascinated with it. I'm just, because I just don't get it. I don't get it. And so. Yeah, Shannon wants to say something.
Oh, I just want to
sure.
say, I don't get why people have to type it. I think it's one thing to think it, but then to actually act.
Oh, right. It's on the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
You can walk in and talk. The mic's not on. Yeah. So right. Like, yeah, it's like, it's one thing.
They can't help themselves. I get it.
Right. No, but that's like, oh, I forget what post you did. But whenever you do your post, and you know how your posts are going to be, whatever you post, the grandmoms are going to say those kids are awesome, and at some point, like, we have quote unquote inside jokes at this point, like,
definitely.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that inside joke on that because I don't want to confuse grandmom, Southern grandmom. I don't want to confuse Jersey grandmom. I don't want to confuse like, aunts. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what happens is somebody goes, if I, like whatever, like Axe is doing something and I'm like, hey, you better put that kid in a straitjacket. Like, oh, he'll get it. Ron will get that joke,
Yeah,
like,
and somebody be like,
but somebody be like, yeah, right. No, like that. Those are babies.
Who do you think you are? They're babies,
right? So.
Or there'd be that one person who like doesn't know you, like from like you said, like that lives states away. And they're like, well, Richard, if you hung out with them enough, you would know that Ryan's just posting to have fun. You'd be like, yeah, totally didn't realize it. I apologize.
You just triggered me. You just triggered me, not in that way. Your post yesterday about disciplining children.
Oh, like, yeah.
If you read the comment sections on the actual real thing, it is phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
it's just
dude,
like no,
I didn't even think about it until you said it.
It is a really, really. Again, it's not too woke. It's not. It's again. That's the thing. If you take a deep breath, it is very nice. Like, hey, that kid who got locked in the closet as punishment, you know, yeah, they would tell you they're fine. Yeah, like that taught me to be quiet around my dad, but also they have a crippling fear of small spaces. Like, and the list going on and on of like, hey, yeah, like the person who's like, oh yeah, my dad used to hit me when I mouthed off. He now verbally abuses his own child. Like,
Yeah.
like right, and it's again, but the comment section, of course, had to be like, my dad hit me and I'm just fine. Like, no, like okay, like
All right, good, man.
right, we weren't too bad.
Awesome.
That's great,
Yeah.
but also like. But
There's
also,
some people
like,
who don't handle it as well.
right. There's some people who don't handle it well. Like you don't exactly. We're not giving you a prize because like your dad hit you and you're fine. Like, like it's just like yeah. Listen, all we're trying to say is, depending on what your kid, like yeah, like you don't have to hit your kid.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to hit your kid, and yeah, like you can. It was just very like. Really enraged me because I was like, nope. The only comments to this should be nothing. Like, should be nothing.
Right.
Like, oh,
right.
nice.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
okay. Yeah. No. Like, oh, that's interesting.
Instead,
it's just
when it
like
comes to parents and kids, it's just always
like don't like. And listen, I will say this right now. Like, sorry, it sounds like the old Chris Rock routine. Like Chris Rock did which would now get him canceled. A routine where he was talking about O.J. Simpson. And he was like, OJ was wrong. OJ was wrong, to kill his wife. But then he would have goes, but I understand. Like, I understand being so upset, And like, yeah, I understand. Like, but honestly, I can't think of an example right now. I cannot think of an example where you would hit your kid, where you would hit your kids, because that's the thing. Like, yeah, if Jade told you to F off tomorrow, like, you might want to like smack her hiney, but you would probably first be like dying. Like, what?
Oh, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that's
you would first
one with parenting is that I always want to tell people to invest in turtlenecks because Monica just so happens to wear them. So like the other day I told James,
that's awesome. Right.
I told James, yo, you don't do that. Okay. That's not nice. And he looked at me like, just like that.
Right.
So if that didn't get her going, he walked over and like, the lightest puppy slap went like this to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then Monica goes, because she's ready to, and then me, I have to be like, no, not nice. Meanwhile, she's just like cherry red behind the turtleneck, like chuckling, cracking up. So,
and what I'm fascinated by, and I'm going to end our podcast after this because it is absolutely a whole new podcast. Like, that is so fascinating to me because, right, he's not watching you hit anyone.
Right, yeah.
He's not watching a ton of content where people are hitting each other, but and that's the thing, he just knows. And again, these boys have been at each other nonstop for a while now, or one has been at the other nonstop for a while now. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, they just instinctively know, like, that little slap. They just know that little, like.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. Like,
right. It's not like, oh well, we were watching wrestling and he tried something. No. Like, he's just like, no. 44 minutes.
44 minutes. Not bad. But yeah. So.
I don't know if
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. No, I'm saying, I just want to talk over you.
No, I was gonna say, so we'll be back maybe next week. We'll know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe next week. What's the 10th?
I will tell you, and I'm calling Richard out here in front of. I do want to do a No Way Home because I have some questions for you. Nostalgia related, Spider-Man related, and DC. Because they're doing the same thing with Flash. More to come on that, but I definitely want to get some thoughts from you on that one.
I asked my Welcome Back Comics fans today how long I should wait, and the one answer I got was as long as you have the as long as we put a big spoiler up there that says spoiler alert that stays on the screen. Again, like and we will our audience is either the people watching us right now who know what we're talking about, or who find us later on where they have to see what the title is called. So, yeah, I think if within the next 2 weeks we could get to it, because I don't want it to become something where I'm like, oh, I got to remind myself what happened.
Oh yeah.
And again, I keep waiting for the commercial where they show
the action.
Yeah, right. We live the action. Right,
All
that
the
one, right.
Spider-Man. See it
Right.
again.
Right, where they show where they spoil it a little bit. So I think
spoiler
again,
alerts. We just
great numbers. So
uh,
right, but again, they're still there. Yeah, I think they made another 52 million this weekend. So
yeah, it made more than Dark Knight this past weekend. That's it. Dark Knight is behind it now. So it's chugging along. So we'll be back to talk about all that fun stuff. R.I.P. Betty White. R.I.P. John Madden. 2022.
Good luck, John. Good luck, Antonio Brown.
Good luck, Antonio Brown. We're thinking about you, and we'll see everybody next.